So today also we are going to discuss about business rules, guys. Okay. As I mentioned, after the form submission, first the before business rules will run. And once the before business rules are run, data gets stored into the database. Once the data gets successfully stored into the database, the after business rule and async business rules will run. The display business rule will run every time when the form gets loaded. So here database plays key role here, guys. After whatever you entered into the form, that gets stored into the database. Before the values get stored into the database, this before business rules will run. Okay. So this before business rules will work from all other sources. This before business rules will work from all other sources. So let us say whenever we select the caller email, caller location, department should be populated. That means for that we have written an unchanged client script. We have written an unchanged client script that will work only from the form. Okay. If the logic should work from all other sources, then we'll have to go for before business rule. Before the data gets stored into the database, we'll populate email location, department field values. So that is what we have done in our last session. So till that point, everybody is clear, right? Hmm? So till that point, everybody is clear, right? Everyone. Okay. Now in today's session, we'll see one more example about before business tools. So if you go to the shipping case form, guys, if you go to the shipping case form, okay, if you closely observe here, if there is no attachment, if there is no attachment, you are unable to submit the form. If there is no attachment, you are unable to submit the form, isn't it? Attachment is mandatory. So attachment is mandatory means the attachment should be mandatory from all other sources, right? The attachment should be mandatory from all other sources, right? Not only from the form, right? Suppose when I am creating shipping case record from the API, from the API also I must pass the attachment, right? So as per the client, the attachment is mandatory while creating the record. Okay. So you are making the attachment mandatory only on the form. What about from the other sources? Okay. So let me use API and let me use REST API Explorer. Create record. Color, category, subcategory, short description, category, subcategory, short description. Okay. Well, you will submit this one. Without, I'm not attaching any attachment here. Even without attachment also, I'm able to create the record. There is no attachment I attached from here. Still it has created the record. So without attachment also, I'm able to create the record, right? Okay. Without attachment also, I'm able to create the record or not? Tell me, guys. I didn't pass color. So without attachment also, I'm able to create the record from here. So that means the on submit that we created is working from other sources. The on submit that we created is working from other sources, guys. Can you please tell me? The on submit that we created is working only from the form. And the logic that we have to write should work from all other sources, right? The on submit client script that we are writing is working only at the form level. And the logic should work from all other sources means then I'm going to create a before business rule. So before before record gets created, it will check if the attachment is there or not. Okay, before it will check before record gets created, it will check if the attachment is there or not. So using before business rule, I am going to create a before business rule. Right click configure business rules. Okay, before insert or update, I'm using the script here. Okay, I missed the tabs. Okay, here I'm writing here. Okay, guys, all the attachments will be stored in a attachment table. There is a table called attachments, sys underscore attachment dot list. So in this attachment, all the attachments that you entered in ServiceNow will be stored in this particular table. Wherever you attach, that will come here and sit here. Whatever the attachments that you attach in ServiceNow, that will be stored in this particular table. Now what I am doing is I am actually querying a attachment table. Okay, sys underscore attachment. Okay, so here you have to table name. Table name should be shipping case. Table name u underscore, or else you can use current dot get table name. Gr dot add query. Table sysid. There is a field called table sysid. Let me duplicate this one. Table name, table SysID. Table SysID will be current dot SysID. So in the attachment table with this condition, if a record exists, in the attachment table with this condition, if a attachment exists, if attachment doesn't exist, attachment not exist. Okay, I am writing gs dot add info add error message glide system. GS stands for glide system. Attachment is mandatory. Current dot set about action true. So what this line does is that, so it will actually stop the database processing into, it will stop the data processing into database. So like return false stop the form submission. Like return false stop the form submission. In the on submit line script, return false stop the form submission, right? This current dot set about action true line will stop the data processing into database. This line stops the data processing into database. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me go to preferences. Okay, now you can see I am trying to create a record without attachment, guys. Without attachment. Okay. So what is it telling? 403 forbidden. Operation against shipping case was aborted by business rule, attachment mandatory. So the before business rule is working from API as well, right? Let me create a record using scripting without attachment. Let me create a record using scripting without attachment. Yeah, I'll tell you the shortcut. Okay, now I am creating a record here. Won't create the record. Table name I did not mention. I am creating a record here. What is it telling? Operation against a file shipping case was aborted by this particular business rule. So that means the on submit client script is working only on the form, whereas the before business rule is working from all other sources. Whereas before business rule is working from all other sources. Okay. Do you understand, guys, the importance of before business rules? So what exactly are we doing exactly at this place? Before the data gets stored into the database, here I am checking the attachment is there or not. If the attachment is there, we are allowing them to store the data into database. If the attachment is not there, we are stopping itself using current.setAboutAction true. So we are using this line. We are using this line to stop the data processing into database. Getting my point, guys? Hmm? The unsubmit client script is working only from the form. Similarly, we wrote one more logic. What is that? If the caller is not VIP, if the caller is not VIP or something like that, we wrote a logic. Caller is not VIP or contractor. So this logic also that we wrote in the unsubmit client script will work only from the form. If that should work from all other sources, then what we have to do, guys? You tell me. What we have to do? Yeah, we have to write a before business rule. Only we have to write before business rule, guys. Remember, we have to write before business rule. Okay. Now I have another requirement. I have another requirement. Whenever the shipping case record is created, okay. Whenever the shipping case record is created, incident record has to be created in the incident table. Whenever the shipping case record is created, and the incident record has to be created in the incident table with the shipping case details. With the shipping case details. How do we create the record? How to create a record on the incident table, guys? You tell me. Without form, how do we create the incident record in the incident table? So Deekshit, so I hope you will get job soon. Very good answer. Okay. I am writing a before business rule. I am writing a before business rule. Create incident. Okay. Before insert, I am using insert here. Before insert. Okay. What I am doing here is I am creating a incident record in the incident table. Okay. incident table. Table name is incident table. Caller field name is caller ID. Category short description. Description. Assignment group. So guys, here current object refers to here the shipping case table. Shipping case caller should go to incident caller. So that means shipping case caller value you can get it using current object. Current dot u underscore caller. That means you are passing shipping case caller to the incident caller. Okay, you are passing shipping case caller to the incident caller. So we can also call script include here, Anil will tell you that. Okay. So current dot, here I am using this current object. Current object refers to shipping case field values. Current dot u underscore category. Okay. Current dot u underscore subcategory. Current dot u underscore short description. Current dot u underscore description. Current dot u underscore assignment group. Okay. I'm just created a business rule. So what is that business rule? Before insert, and that means whenever the shipping case record is created, okay, whenever the shipping case record is created, the incident has to be created. Okay. Now I am going to the shipping case record. I am going to deactivate that on submit line script. Okay. So now you can see here, I am trying to create the shipping case record. So before that, let me open the incident list. So now you can see in the incident table how many records are there. 3,27,063 records are there. 3,27,063 records are there. So Now I am trying to create a record here, guys. I am trying to create a record here. Okay. Okay. Now I am trying to save this one. It will not create the shipping case record, guys. It will not create the shipping case record because attachment is not attached, right? The before business rule will stop the data processing at the database level. Record will not be created. What is it telling? Attachment is mandatory, invalid insert. Record is not created. Shipping case record is not created. Okay. And let me just show you one more time. Okay. So now I am creating a record here. As attachment is not attached, it will not allow you to create the record. What is it telling? Attachment is mandatory, invalid insert. Record is not created. System ID is still -1 here. Record is not created, right? Shipping case record is not created. If the shipping case not record is created, if the shipping case record is not created, incident record should be created. Only when the shipping case record is created, incident record should be created, right? Here shipping case record is not created, and it should not create the incident record as well. But the problem is that it has created the incident record here. The problem is that it has created the incident record here. You can see here, it has created the incident record without creating 1 minute ago. So without creating the shipping case record, I'm able to create the incident record. What is our requirement? Once the shipping case record is created successfully, then the incident has to be created. But the problem is here shipping case record itself is not created and it is creating the incident. Do you understand what is the mistake here? What has happened and all? Everyone? Okay. So what is my requirement is once the shipping case record is successfully created, then incident record has to be created. Here the shipping case record is not created successfully, still it is creating the incident record. Okay. So that is why ServiceNow is recommending don't use before business rules. Don't use before business rules. Create the records on another tables. Don't use before business rules to create the records on another tables. Why is that? Why is that? Because there is a chance that data processing can be stopped using before business rules. In that case, if you try to create record using before business rules, it won't help us. Instead, it will directly go and create the record. So that means here is only when this record is created, only when this shipping case record is created, then incident has to be created. That is what my point. Only when the shipping case is created, after record is created successfully, then incident has to be created. So that is where you go here. You go here. You will submit the form before business rules will run and the data gets successfully stored. That means the shipping case record is successfully created here. So once the shipping case record is successfully created here, then after business rules will run. So then it is better to use after business rule here. So instead of using before business rules, it is better to use after business rule. If you use after business rule, what happens is that If you use after business rule, what happens is that, so first you will submit the form and the before business rules will run. After before business rules successfully ran, the data gets stored into the database. The data gets stored into the database. That means shipping case record will be successfully created into the database. Once the shipping case record is successfully created, then this after business rule or async business rules will run. That means after shipping case record is successfully created, only this after business rules will run. So if the shipping case record is not successfully created, this after business rules will not run. Okay. So that is why what I have done is I have made this particular business rule working in the after business rule. After business rule I am actually making here. When exactly after business rules will run? Once the record is successfully created or updated into the database, then after business rules will run. Okay. So why before business rule is not recommended here? You are able to understand? Okay. So in this case, so I have created after business rule. I am going to the shipping case form again. Okay. I just filled the collar value, category, subcategory. So it hasn't created the record. So attachment is mandatory. It hasn't created the record. At the same time, it should not create the incident record in the incident table. So it will not create because it will not create record because the after business rules will not run because the record is not created at the database, right? You have too many incidents in the incident table. You can see last incident created is actually 6 minutes ago. 6 minutes ago, last incident is created. So now incident is not created because the shipping case record is not created. That is why incident record is not created. As the shipping case record is not created, the incident is not created. So now what I am doing is I am attaching the attachment here. I am attaching the attachment here. I am creating a shipping case record. It will allow you to create the record. So it has allowed you to create the record. Once the record is created in the database, the record is now created in the database. Then this after business rule will run. This is the after business rule. This will run. It would have created an incident record in the incident table. We will now see the incident record is created in the incident table or not. You can see just now the incident record is created. So after business rules will run once the record is successfully created or once the record is successfully updated into the database, the after business rules will run. Always remember, for creating the records or updating the records on another table. So creating the record in the incident is actually creating the record in the another table, right? So for creating the record, for updating the record in another table or in the same table, it is best practice to use after business rule. Do you understand that? Do you understand that, guys? To create the record or update the record on another table, it is best practice to use after business rule instead of using before business rule. If you use before business rule, what happens? If the data processing is stopped, okay, if the data processing is stopped, but still it will create a record using before business rule. That is the disadvantage. Okay, then that is why we'll use after business rule. I have another requirement here, guys. Once the shipping case record is successfully created, it is creating the incident record, right? It is creating the incident record, right? The incident number should be populated the incident field here. The incident number should be populated here in the incident field. Okay. So here what happens? Here what happens? You will submit the form. Before business rules will run, record gets saved into the database. Then after business rule will run, it will create the incident record. That incident record again you have to update into the database. That means you have to update the record second time. That means you have to update the record second time. So remember this point, guys. Here this is a shipping case form. You are submitting this form. The before business rules are running, and the record gets stored into the database. Then after business rule is running, it is creating the incident record. Whatever the incident record is created, that incident record number I have to update into the database second time. I have to update into the database second time. So in that case, you go to the after business rule. In the after business rule, you take the system ID of the created incident. Where sys is equal to, okay, current dot set value q underscore incident comma sys. Okay, you have to use current dot update. So guys, you are creating the incident record. Incident record you are updating in the incident field on the current form, and you are updating the current form. The problem here is that when you are updating the current form again, there is a chance that the other business rules will run with the conditions that is there on the form. So what happens is that you are creating an incident record, you are updating that incident number on the field, you are updating that incident number on the incident field using current data update. So when you are updating second time, there may be chance that other scripts get invoked. The other scripts will get triggered. Okay, when you are updating the record second time, there is a chance that the other scripts, the other business rules might get triggered. So that is why current dot update, using current dot update in the after business rule is not a good practice. Okay, if you use current dot update in the after business rules, what happens? There is a chance that it will trigger the other business rules when you are updating it second time. So if you have to use this current dot update necessarily, that is where you have to use current dot set workflow false. This set workflow false will stop the other scripts running. Set workflow false will stop the other scripts running. Okay. So using this question will be asked in the interviews. Using current dot update in the business rules is a good practice means no. So using current dot update in the business rules is not a good practice. If you use that current dot update, it will actually update the record second time in the database, so that there is a chance that the other scripts get invoked. To avoid that, if you have to use current dot update, you have to use current dot set workflow false in combination. Getting my point? Everyone? Okay, now we will see that practically. So attachment is mandatory. So that means data is not created at the database successfully. So that after business rules will not run. After business rules will run only when the record gets stored successfully into the database. Okay. Now the record gets stored into the database successfully. It will create the incident record. It will create the incident record. The incident number is updated here. The incident number, created incident record number is updated here. How did it happen? You submitted the form. First time you didn't attach the attachment before business rule has stopped. Second time you came to the form, you attached the attachment and you submitted the form before business rule has allowed you to store the data into database. Once the data is created successfully into the database, the after business rule has done. It has created an incident record. That incident record you are updating into the database again. So when you are updating the incident number into the database again, I am making sure the other scripts are not running using current dot set workflow false. This line is important when you are using current dot update. Okay. Is that clear, guys? Hmm? Okay, in Monday session we'll be understanding about the difference between will in Monday session we'll be clearly understand about after business rule and assing business rules. Okay. Now in today's session I will allow you to ask the questions.